good to go for you.
Okay, perfect. And then we got the mic on too,
Yes. Okay. You're still free to pick it up and
which I will do. Yeah.
do what you want with it.
Okay.
Are we ready?
Are we ready? Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah.
Clicker's working? Okay.
Let me just make sure. Yep. Clicker's working.
Okay.
I know this doesn't look very good, but this box is just too dangerous.
Gotta cover that. Yeah, that's good deal.
Okay, I think we're ready to go. My name is Steve Chestnut with Ray & Associates. My colleague Kathy Schoenfelder and I have been working with the board on this superintendent selection process, and it's been our pleasure to be here and assist. But we'd like to begin this evening by introducing the first candidate, Dr. Heather Sanchez.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Buenas noches y bienvenidos a todos. Gracias por venir. Good evening and thank you for coming. I'm Dr. Heather Sanchez, and I am elated to be considered to serve as your next superintendent of schools. And so I'm just going to take just a few minutes to tell you a little bit about myself, and then I have a presentation. But the first thing that I want to make sure the community knows is that I'm honored to be here with you this evening, first of all, and I understand the magnitude of this decision as the board and the entire community considers who's going to follow the legacy of Dr. Cleveland, the only superintendent the district has ever had. I can't think of another district anywhere that has had the same superintendent for 30 plus years, and that truly is a legacy. So really, I am so grateful to be here with you all this evening and to have the opportunity to step into the role as your next superintendent of schools. The next thing that I want to really share with you is how excited I am to have the opportunity to return home to my home state of New Mexico, where I was born and raised. My family history in this state goes back well over 100 years, starting with my grandfather, who entered into the Llano Estacado part of the state in a covered wagon before it was a state, when it was a territory, as a poor ranch hand. I myself was born and raised, grew up. I'm a product of Albuquerque Public Schools myself, attending Wary Elementary School, Van Buren Middle School, and Highland High School, go Hornets, graduating 2 years before the inception of Rio Rancho Public Schools. So there's no competition there. No competition there. I also met my husband, Cesar, at Western New Mexico University, where we both graduated. 2 of our 3 boys were born in Silver City. My suegros live in the southern part of the state today. And today I have family who both reside within the Rio Rancho Public Schools attendance area and send their children to Rio Rancho Public Schools. So when I say this is an opportunity for me to bring my national experience home to the community that raised me, that means a lot to me, and I am so grateful for the opportunity to be here with you all this evening. So that's a little bit about my personal background. I also want to share professionally. You'll see that I have held just about every role there is in public schools over the course of my career, including classroom teacher, instructional coach, award-winning school principal, a director of innovative teaching and learning programs, an executive director of schools overseeing 28 schools and school principals, a chief of schools, and I currently serve as the chief operating officer and superintendent designee for the Bellevue School District, the top-ranked school district in the state of Washington. In this capacity, I oversee the entirety of operations for the district, as well as oversight and implementation of a budget of almost $500 million in a district of 19,500 students, with representation from 127 countries and families speaking 121 languages. So when I think about the professional trajectory of my career, though, whether I was a classroom teacher or an instructional coach or overseeing the launch of first-of-their-kind STEM and dual language programs, designing a strategic plan for the district, or delivering on time, on budget, new school campuses that are both economically sustainable and environmentally sustainable. In each of these capacities, my core values have been built on a strong culture of care and a through line of excellence, access, and innovation. And these are the same elements I see reflected in this stellar Rio Rancho Public Schools community. a commitment to academic and extracurricular excellence, a commitment to improving access and inclusionary practices for students, and a passion for innovation. You know, when I think about the course of my career, I think that things have a way of working out as they should in the end, and that fewer things are left to coincidence than we might like to think is the case. When I think about my personal history growing up here in this state, in this area, in this community, and my professional preparation, and the timing right now, I believe that my personal journey and my professional preparation has prepared me in a truly unique way to step into the role following the great legacy of Dr. Cleveland and to roll up my sleeves and see all that we can accomplish here in Rio Rancho Public Schools. So I'm excited to be here with you today. And next, each of us have been asked to share for about 15 minutes on a specific topic. So I'm going to take about the next 15 minutes to talk a little bit about some of the things that I've already learned and listening to and spending time in the community. And I do spend outside of this a fair amount of time in this community because I have family that's here in the community. So I do have that as well. But when we think about what is on the horizon for Rio Rancho Public Schools, this is a school district and community that has so much excellence already existing within it. Strong community support, strong academic programs, strong levels of achievement, strong extracurricular athletics and activities, and a strong foundation built on the legacy of Dr. Cleveland, who came here and literally built the district from day one from nothing. So when I think about this very special community, what I really think about is, with this strong foundation, what's next? What's on the horizon for this school community? And where do we want to go? So I'm going to share a little bit, rather than sharing about one specific topic. We were asked if we wanted to share about one particular area. I rather want to share with you, the community, some of the things that I'm thinking about and some of the things that I've learned. Because if I were you, I'd be sitting here this evening wanting to know, who is this person? How are they going to fit in our community? And how are they going to lead forward? So that's a little bit about what I want to share this evening, building on the strong legacy of what's already in place here in Rio Rancho Public Schools. So when I think about Rio Rancho, I think about building on this strong foundation and what is future forward, what is on the horizon, and what can we vision cast together in this school community for every student, every day in Rio Rancho Public Schools. And I'm going to wander back and forth a little bit, but I've been told I can't get out of this box up here. So you might see me going back and forth, but I just naturally move around a lot. All right, so in listening to this school community, in reviewing all of the community feedback around what you're looking for your next superintendent of schools, reviewing the strategic plan, your profile of a graduate, listening to members of the community, building on the strong foundation that's already in place, there are some things that I'm noticing. And so what I want to share in the next just few minutes before we get to the question part is some of the things that I'm thinking about, so that you have an opportunity to provide some feedback and think yourself about the future forward for this district. So these are things I just want to share also that are already in place. This is work happening already in the Rio Rancho Public Schools community. But as I review all of the district data that is available, all of the community feedback around the superintendent search, all of the board comments, individuals that have been coming to the Board of Education, as I listen and learn already, prior to stepping into the role, there are some things that are emerging to the surface as key priorities. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time just hitting the highlight reel, if you will, on each one of these. And then I'll end with a community promise, my promise to you, the community. So the first thing that I'll share a little bit about is continuing the work around early literacy. Early literacy work is critical and the ability to read and effectively read is the cornerstone of economic freedom for students. There's a lot of work already happening in this community and statewide, And this is work that must continue so that students are prepared to read to lead as high-performing critical thinking readers. Secondly, the community has been very clear, and so has the staff, around the need to continue to work on student well-being and student experiences. So that I mean social emotional health, mental health, physical health and safety, and the overall well-being of students that we're serving in the schools each and every day. And then thirdly, operational excellence. This community just passed with a 76% approval rating, an $80 million bond. And with 20 million kicking in from the state, that's a $100 million bond coming into this community, and that's a commitment from the community to Rio Rancho Public Schools. So I have a strong track record of opening new schools in operational excellence as well as financial acumen. I'm both a businesswoman and an educator. And as I think about the progress forward, delivering on the promise of that bond and continuing to provide world-class facilities for students here in this district, as well as fiscal responsibility and operational excellence, is going to be key so that students in this district can learn in the highest quality, state-of-the-art facilities. And then lastly, future forward. I have always been passionate about high quality learning paired with innovation. Education is changing, our world is changing, and we need to change with it to provide every single student in this district options and innovative learning opportunities. There's already work happening in this space. Just today, we visited Rio Tech High School. And a spirit of innovation is already part of the core values here in this district. And I'm already thinking about ways to deeply partner with the community to continue this ethos of constantly thinking about ways to innovate and better meet the needs of our students. So I'm going to talk just a little bit about each one of them. All right, early literacy. Literacy is the cornerstone of economic freedom. I said it before and I'm going to say it again. The ability to read and comprehend is essential for student success. If students are on track and proficient by the time they're in third grade, research tells us they will stay there throughout the trajectory of their educational career. If they are not on track by the time they're in third grade, the likelihood that they will catch up is very slim. This is a moral imperative. This is work already happening in this district and statewide, and the literacy results in this district are above those of the state. They are above the state average, as they are in Bellevue. Bellevue is a very high-performing school district, the district I'm currently in, so is Rio Rancho Public Schools, and yet there's quite a lot of unfinished work to do as well. About half of the students in this district are proficient in literacy, which means about half are not. And so as we think forward to continuing the excellence here in this community, we must provide, especially in grades K through 3, high quality literacy experiences and interventions and supports for students who need them. So that is a critical element of the path forward for the success of each and every student in this school district. All right, safe, supportive, and inclusive schools. And when I say safe, supportive, and inclusive schools, what I mean by that is students' physical safety, their social emotional safety, and how inclusive the school environment is. All of those things work together. Again, building on a strong culture of excellence here in this district, there's a lot of community feedback about this piece in particular. And as we've come out of the pandemic, the needs of our students have increased around their social emotional needs, mental health, in conjunction with overall inclusion into the school setting. So as I think about vision casting forward in deep partnership with this school community, I think about the path forward for students so that each student feels seen, valued, and heard. And each student's learned experience and lived experience from the time they get on the school bus and they see that bus driver's face to the time they get off in the afternoon is one where they feel seen and heard and safe. Students who don't feel seen, heard, and safe are going to have a hard time learning at school. So this continues to be a priority for this district and is a high priority very clearly to me already coming from this school community. And operational excellence. The Rio Rancho, you know, when I shared earlier, when I was growing up in Albuquerque when I was younger, and that was a hot minute ago, I will share that. But there was really nothing out in this area yet. It has grown so fast, and this community continues to grow, built on a root and a foundation of innovation and excellence. So being able to continue the operational excellence in this community is very essential. I have a strong track record of opening new buildings that are both economically and fiscally sustainable, and we have some opportunities here in this community ahead of us. So the promise from the community of your bond is outstanding. That's $100 million coming in to establish a new preschool program, to refurbish some of your facilities, which is incredible. So thank you to every single voter in here who supported that. And the district has identified $357 million in needs. So what that means is there's going to need to be some continued work around both at the legislative level and here in the community around prioritizing operational needs. And so that is a critical element. I do feel fortunate that I've had experience on both sides of the house as an educational and instructional leader, a school principal, supervising school principals, a chief of schools, and also on the operations side of the house. And I believe that that makes me relatively unique in that regard because I've been able to see all of it operate together. And I understand that high quality facilities and high quality staff are critical for every single student. So I also want to talk a little bit about staffing pipelines. I got lots of questions today about partnering with UNM, with Central New Mexico University, with local community partners to develop and retain educators and staff at every level. That is a part of operational excellence, is hiring the best. And as a leader, one of the most important things I'll ever do in my career is hire the best and the brightest and then keep them. That is part of operational excellence. So that means having grow your own pipelines. That means providing opportunities for educators who might not be licensed educators right now to get into roles where they can grow into that. All of this goes into operational excellence within the school community. And then when the community gives you a vote of promise of a bond with a 76% approval rating, it is incumbent upon us to be very transparent about where the money's going, how we're spending it, so that you can feel assured that every single dollar that you have entrusted to us is going to support students in this district. So cultivating a culture of transparency, continuing to cultivate that, and community trust is very clearly to me already very central to what you want as a community. And then future forward. And I have to say, really excited about this. This is such a strong district and community. Your strategic plan, any district's strategic plan, really should be the North Star, the roadmap for the district. It tells you what our aspirations are, where we want to go in the next 5 years. Right now, the strategic plan in Rio Rancho Public Schools runs through 2025. So that means that it is time for a new strategic plan in this district to vision cast for the next 5 years, at least in this community. So you have here before you the passage of this bond, the vote of support, the selection of your second superintendent of schools, and the development of your next 5-year strategic plan. This presents a stellar opportunity to work with the school community and the staff and partner closely with the board to decide in the next 5 years, how do we want to continue to stretch the boundaries in Rio Rancho Public Schools? What innovative learning opportunities does this community want for the students in this community? Because if anybody in the state of New Mexico can do it, it is this school community with a strong foundation of community support. So the strategic plan is a critical development of the roadmap for the next 5 years. And then embedded in that, I am passionate about expanding innovative learning opportunities and dual credit opportunities so that students in this district, if they want, They can graduate from high school with an associate's degree. They can go to Rio Tech High School and they can go into specialized programming. They have access to other accelerated course options and rigorous course options. Education today is evolving. And Rio Rancho has always been on the cutting edge of innovation. And this, our future forward for this school community, presents an opportunity for us to vision cast forward what you want to see for your kids and your grandkids in the next generation, in the next chapter. So these are some of the things that I have learned and that I'm thinking about as I myself, if I have the opportunity to partner closely with you as a community, come back home to the community that raised me and serve as your superintendent of schools, are at the top of my mind. So I want to be able to share that with you transparently so you can see what I am thinking about and what I'm already seeing emerge as core values. And then lastly, I want to close my time before we get to the questions with a promise to this community. I don't normally read slides. As a matter of fact, you see I didn't read anything on any of the previous slides, but you could take a look at it. But I do want to read this one because, again, I want to bookend how important this decision is for you and how keenly aware of that I am and how excited I am to step into the role and partner closely with each of you in support of your kids. So I'm just going to take just a moment to read this because it is coming from my heart to yours. So my community promise to this school community, the Rio Rancho Public Schools community, where I both have family and am from. And that begins with that no superintendent succeeds alone. My commitment is to lead through deep listening, true co-creation, and shared ownership with the people who know Rio Rancho Public Schools best. I'm very proud to bring my national experience home, building on Rio Rancho Public Schools excellence and elevating it as New Mexico's destination district. I will be visible, collaborative, and present across our schools and our community. I will engage in regular community conversations and listening sessions. I will establish a superintendent's advisory cabinet to strengthen two-way partnership and accountability. And together, we will expand world-class learning experiences so every student thrives academically, socially, and emotionally. Again, I want to thank each one of you for coming this evening. Gracias. And I am excited to take some questions.
Well, we may only have time for one question.
Okay.
But Dr. Sanchez, thanks for that presentation. So you obviously were not assigned a topic. You had the ability to choose, and you chose to talk about early literacy, student well-being, operational excellence, and future focus. So just the why behind that. Why did you choose to focus on those themes?
Yes, I spent a lot of time thinking about this. The reason that I wanted to focus on these core themes are because I believe you, the community, have a right to know what I'm seeing as emerging key priorities. So rather than talking about one specific thing, which I could have done, I could have talked about one specific thing only. If I were you, if I were sitting in your seat, I would want to know what is most important to her, what is she thinking about, what is to the table. And so I elected to talk about what I am already noticing, because if I'm selected as your next superintendent of schools, I need your partnership in continuing this work. So I wanted to provide you an opportunity for me to be very transparent with you about what I'm thinking and what I'm noticing so that you can get the big picture of what I would bring to the table rather than one specific thing.
All right, we have time for one more. Sorry. What is the role of parents, guardians, and community members in the items covered in your presentation?
Yes, parents. All right, can you guys hear me okay? Okay. Parents, I'm a mother of 3 sons myself, and parents, you are your child's first teacher. So that's what I want to share with you. You are your first child's teacher and an essential partner in the educational process. So you are critically important. We can't do it without you. We are here with the same purpose and cause, whether I'm talking about my 3 boys or your children. Any grandparents or other caretakers, the same holds true. And it is a complicated world that our children are living in today, and we cannot provide the opportunities that we truly want them to have alone. And so we must work together in partnership. In terms of the community partners, both in terms of our local businesses, our educational foundations, and our local educational institutions, I really do think about supporting children in our community as cradle to career. And so cradle to career includes community partners at every level. To career, that includes ensuring that every student that walks out the doors of any of the Rio Rancho public schools is prepared to succeed in the future that they chose, and that their future did not choose them.
Dr. Sanchez, thank you very much for the presentation. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Testing 1, 2. Test.
I can go backstage and find out.
Is it clicker? When was this downloaded? Is this a live download like my Google? Can I go to my Google Slides? We have to look it in. That's fine. Yeah, please. Because this is the PDF. Yeah. Do you have the Google slide? Oh, there. Or no? Oh no, it's the PDF. Do you have the Google slide?
Google slide, that's the PDF.
Oh, duh. Here, what am I doing? Okay, this keyboard's kind of janky, but this keyboard is broken.
It is.
Yeah, this keyboard's
Let me
messed
just go
up.
get my. Can I just get my?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Hey. And do you have the clicker?
And this is our clicker.
And then, is there a lapel for a microphone, or do I have to hold the mic?
I can grab you a lapel if you
that'd be
prefer.
great. Thank you.
Does it look like it's working?
Looking good.
Okay, good. It's your lapel mic, and then we'll go.
Yeah.
Just 1, 2.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, Ken.
Okay, the technology is ready. Please welcome our second candidate, Mr. Todd Resch.
Hi. Well, good evening, everyone. It is great to be here. My name is Todd Resch, and I am very fortunate to be considered a finalist for this position at this fine district. I have been working in the Rio Rancho Public Schools for 4.5 years. I have 20 years of experience in the Albuquerque Public Schools prior to that, having served as a principal for 12 years at La Cueva High School, Desert Ridge Middle School, and College and Career High School. I also served as the Associate Superintendent for High School Education within the Albuquerque Public Schools. And I am a United States Navy veteran, having served on the USS Ranger, an aircraft carrier out of San Diego, California. I am married to my wife, Nina. We've been married for 30 years, and we have a 19-year-old daughter, Asha, who is a sophomore at UNM, and she is studying nursing. So it is great to see you all. I am, again, honored to be here. Originally, I was going to talk with you tonight about math scores. But instead, what I'd like to talk with you about now is just one math score. In 2024, 2025, the Rio Rancho Public Schools district-wide math proficiency was 34%. Currently, we have schools throughout our district that have established a math goal. And the implementation of the establishment of that math goal rests on the shoulders of principals and teachers. Well, I would like to build upon that, because it is my vision that this district create a district-wide math goal. You see, currently we do not have one, and I believe we need one. Therefore, my vision is to have a unified goal for our entire district, because a district-wide math goal makes it clear that improving math outcomes is everyone's responsibility. So before we start diving into this math goal, I'd like to review with you real quick the strategic plan and the 4 pillars that represent and stand up our strategic plan. Staff excellence, are we recruiting and retaining high-quality teachers? Safety and wellness, are we providing an inclusive and safe classroom and learning environment for not only our students, but for our teachers? Engagement and innovation pertains to curriculum and instruction and providing high-quality instructional practices for all of our students. And finally, operational excellence represents most all things not in the classroom, things like transportation, food services, human resources, and the likes. So that's a quick review of our strategic plan. So the next step is to build a goal. To build a goal for this district, one singular math goal. So what we are going to do is we are going to follow the SMART acronym in creating a goal. We need to establish a goal that is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. You can pretty much apply the principles of the SMART goal to just about any goal that you want to achieve personally as well. So let's break this down. Specific, what will improve? That is clear, ladies and gentlemen. Student achievement in mathematics is the what that must improve. Next up, measurable. So what is the numeric target we are shooting for? The measure for this goal is that the percentage of students scoring proficient or above in math, according to the NMESA and the SAT, will increase from 34 percentage points, 10 points, to 44 percentage points. So we have specific, we have measurable, attainable. So how is this goal going to be achievable? Through the implementation of a guaranteed and viable curriculum, through a continuous improvement process, through data cycles, through differentiation, through a variety of means funneled through our curriculum and instruction department. So why does this goal matter? As far as relevance is concerned, this goal matters because math matters. Math matters because as a core content, it provides success for students in college, career, and life. And there are problem-solving strategies that students learn that prepare them for numerous disciplines across the workforce. So that's why it's relevant. That's why it matters. And finally, time-based. So when are we going to have this done by? And this is going to be accomplished by the end of the 26-27 school year. So when we put all of these pieces together, all of these components from the SMART goal, we build what is called a SMART goal statement. And we're going to pause for just a second because it's super specific. What it states is that the percentage of students in the Rio Rancho Public Schools scoring proficient or above in mathematics will increase from 34% to 44% by the end of the 26-27 school year, as measured by the NMESA, SAT, and through strengthened core instruction, targeted interventions, and enhanced teacher professional learning. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our what. That is what we are going to accomplish. The question is, how? And so now we revert back to the strategic plan. See, the strategic plan represents the how in accomplishing those goals, or that goal. So what we're going to do tonight is step by step look at each of the pillars of the strategic plan and apply what we are currently doing in this district to satisfy that goal. So math proficiency and the SMART goal is listed up there as well. So what does this look like for staff excellence? What we will do is we will recruit, retain the very best math teachers that we can find. We need to surround ourselves with math experts in every single classroom at every single school. Once we get new teachers, we will provide high levels of induction, which introduces them to the Rio Rancho Public Schools and shares with these new teachers, this is the Rio Rancho way. This is how things are done here. In addition, we will assign a teacher mentor to each of our new teachers to serve as a thought partner, a collaborator in the creation of lesson plans, common assessments, and anything day-to-day that a new teacher could use for success. For current teachers, we will provide high levels of continued professional learning in the areas of data-driven decision-making, differentiation, and interventions, and the application of math concepts to real world. And finally, we'll seek to expand our instructional coaching model and also enhance our professional learning communities, which is an exemplary model when allowing teachers to collaborate together to discuss student work. That's how staff excellence is going to be utilized to accomplish this goal. Next up, safety and wellness, creating an inclusive and safe class. We will continue to promote a growth mindset among all of our students from our teachers with positive word choice as far as providing confidence and reducing anxiety in math for our students. We will implement culturally and linguistically responsive teaching practices. We will see to it that our students with disabilities are supported through their individualized education program. We will also seek SEL supports for our teachers to help students with their problem-solving skills. And we'll use the multi-layered systems of support, tiers 1, 2, and 3, within the general classrooms to provide interventions for students as needed. The last category is something I want to touch on for just a moment. Us to strengthen our classroom discipline, because classroom discipline issues results in a loss of instructional time. Therefore, we will continue the implementation of positive behavioral interventions and supports, PBIS, throughout the classrooms, PBIS is great because it provides specific examples of what the expectations are in different learning environments. And then we will also seek the district's discipline matrix, and we'll see to it that we implement and enforce rules as appropriate, as consistent with providing transparency throughout our district. Safety and wellness. Engagement and innovation. We will continue to implement a guaranteed and viable curriculum within our school district, and we will seek to vertically align that curriculum pre-K-12. What is a guaranteed and viable curriculum? Let me tell you what that is. That means in this district that a fourth grader taking math at one elementary school and another fourth grader taking math at a different elementary school are essentially being exposed to the same pacing and the same instruction to a degree. That's important in this district. It's important in any public school district, but in Rio Rancho, did you know that we have 285 students that transfer from one school to another school within this district? What if that fourth grader transferred to a different school? Would you want that fourth grader to be exposed to a consistent language as far as mathematics is concerned? I would. I would want that for my kid. We will also seek to integrate innovative practices, project-based learning, STEM. I'm inspired by the work taking place at CTE and Rio Tech. And we also can implement technology as needed to support our students in their classroom endeavors. We will strengthen pre-K mathematics foundations as far as numeracy skills, middle school readiness, and high school advanced math options. And also we will seek to support our exemplary fine arts programs, because our fine arts programs strengthen the cognitive skills that are used in math. And finally, in this category, we'll expand enrichment and intervention opportunities like math clubs, and tutoring, and bridge programs, and credit recovery. So that's engagement and innovation as far as achieving our goal for math proficiency. And finally, operational excellence. So we will continue to evaluate things, first of all, students through common assessments, and make adjustments to our instructional practices as needed based on the feedback from those common assessments. We will also evaluate curriculum materials and our differentiation and intervention strategies as we see fit, and make improvements to those to best serve our students. We will increase transparency with the families in our community as far as sharing data and also sharing resources to assist students in doing their math. We'll seek to align staffing and resources to accomplish this goal as well. Are you beginning to see a trend that we are all behind this goal? Various departments are behind this goal and supporting our district with this goal. So we've got staffing and resources, but we also want to optimize our learning environments for math. What does that mean? Are classrooms clean? Are they well lit? Are they comfortable? Are we providing reliable transportation for our students to school? And do the students have access to nutritious meals? So there you have it, a comprehensive list here of the how we can accomplish this math smart goal. Unfortunately, I have an issue with this graphic. As much as I like the fact that it is nice pertaining to each of our strategic plan pillars, I also think an unintended consequence is it shows silos. You see 4 separate silos, 4 separate categories. As a district, behind a district goal, we cannot operate in silos. We have to operate as one unit working together, aligned towards that math goal. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to break down who's assigned to staff excellence, safety and wellness, engagement and innovation, and operational excellence on this next slide. Staff excellence, C&I, human resources, research, assessment, data, and accountability, or RADA. Safety and wellness, curriculum and instruction, federal, bilingual, and Native American programs. Student services, special services, and safety and security. Engagement and innovation, again, curriculum and instruction, fine arts, career and technical education, information technology, and finally, in operational excellence, we are talking about C&I again, RADA, human resources, finance, facilities, student nutrition, transportation, and communication. That represents just about every single department in this district, which means that we can get behind one district math goal and support our schools in a variety of ways from each of our. What's the result? Well, we know that this is important. Because when math improvement is a district goal, district office departments can align their work intentionally to support student achievement. Thank you very much.
So, Mr. Rush, your topic was not assigned. You got to choose it. Obviously, focused on math improvement, district-wide math goal. And I think you've touched on this question, but maybe you can add to it. Why did you choose this topic?
Thank you. I chose this topic because I am passionate about our students, our community, our teachers, and I know this is what is good for kids. I want to set our students up, or have our students be set up for success beyond high school. An investment in our students' education is also an investment in the economic development of this community. It is a wise investment and a worthwhile investment.
Sorry.
I'm not good at that. I should just.
I apologize. What is the role of parents, guardians, and community members in the items covered in your presentation?
Partners, thought partners. In my role as superintendent, I will seek to have advisory councils that include parent input. Because parents need to be supported in the math content. Parents need to provide for me feedback about what is taking place in their home as it pertains to math and how we can best support them.
So the district has a specific portrait of a graduate. How does this presentation and your ideas align with the district's portrait of a graduate?
Thank you. Yes, it just pertains to math readiness and college and career readiness and preparation. I think it speaks to the need to improve math skills for all of our students. Therefore, we are setting them up for success. As we discuss the profile of a graduate, I would love to, moving forward as superintendent, to discuss the profile of an 11th grader, a 10th grader, a 7th grader, on down the line. So there are logical steps of vertical articulation so students know what they need to achieve that success within that profile.
Since many initiatives are implemented in the classroom, how will you involve teachers if the ideas in your presentation are implemented? And how do you involve teachers in your decision-making process?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Teachers are closest to the work. Teachers' input is paramount to the success of any goal, specifically content-related goals. Therefore, teachers' voice is imperative and will be valued and heard.
So you touched on this next question, but I'm curious if the ideas in your presentation are implemented. How will they assist students in being better prepared for their future? You certainly touched on that, but could you go into more detail?
I believe it's just a comprehensive plan of providing holistic supports for our students as they engage through the school system. We'll be providing them supports through counseling services, through tutoring services. I just believe it's a very comprehensive approach that was listed right there. We can, and look, I will tell you right now, this is my idea, okay? And it is open for change based on stakeholder input and feedback. It is also open for adjusting based on stakeholder input and feedback.
This is the last question. What are the budget implications if the ideas in your presentation are implemented? And what process do you use to establish budget priorities?
In the spirit of aligning resources, one of the first questions as far as a teacher's desire to attend professional development will be, how does this satisfy our math goal? That will be the guiding principle with regard to allocation of resources. If it's truly a goal and it's truly a priority, then it is something that we need to commit resources, including funding for, because again, it is an investment.
Well, Mr. Rush, thank you so much for your presentation, for your answers. We greatly appreciate it. And thanks for being with us tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My sister. Just yeah, just good to see you. Good day, though. You good candidates. That was fun. Oh, yeah. That was so cool.
It was cute. Yeah.
Yeah, and cheerleaders.
And in the
And the mascot.
Stormy and Bolt, I think.
And the drum line. There it is. We got to make sure the technology's working for you first.
You don't have to point on it, but yeah, it should just go up from there.
Testing.
Is this it on? Could you test it?
Testing.
Yeah.
On.
Okay, good. I'll introduce you and then we'll just go,
All right,
okay?
let's do it. Yep.
Okay, our third candidate is here and ready to go. I'd like to introduce to you Dr. Robbie Dodd.
Good evening, Rio Rancho. I'm honored to be here. As Dr. Chestnut said, I'm Robbie Dodd. This is a great honor of my career to have the opportunity to interview to be the next superintendent of the Rio Rancho Public Schools. My theme tonight, as I present to you, is going to be honoring the past, building the present, and inventing the future. When I think about Rio Rancho, I think that's what we're in store for. This school system has an incredible past that needs to be recognized and honored. We have a really solid foundation to build on in the present. And then I want to talk to you about how we work together as a community, as a school community, to invent the future. So a little bit about me, so you know who's talking to you. That picture on the left, that's me. In the middle, it was in the days of school boxes and bagged lunches and drinking out of hoses a long time ago in the early 70s. That blonde on the left is my older sister, who's currently a kindergarten teacher, an amazing kindergarten teacher. And that's my neighbor Michael on the right. You can see him with the bag lunch. I am the child of educators. My dad was a principal. My mom was a teacher. My dad ended up being a school system leader, and I've been deeply honored to follow in both my parents' footsteps along with my sister. The people that keep me most grounded as an educational leader are those folks you see on the right. That's my wife, Jenny, and my son, Johnny, and my daughter, Nora. They're back in Maryland, where I come from. I hope they're not watching me tonight, but I hope they're proud of me. So that's a little bit about me. Let's talk about you, and let's talk about Rio Rancho and why we're here tonight. I don't want to explain to you things that you already know, but I do think it's really important to highlight some of the things that we should be proud of as a school system. Visionary long-term leadership. When I did a lot of research on Rio Rancho, it's really incredible to see a school system that had a superintendent, Dr. Cleveland, for 31 years. To think that a community, school leaders, and Dr. Cleveland really developed a school system out of nothing is amazing. So that's very, very important. We visited 5 schools today of the 21 schools in Rio Rancho, and I saw in every classroom I was in, hallway, space where kids were, a committed workforce. We have exceptional people working with our kids every day, and we should be very proud of that. Schools where students are known, safe, and supported. There were so many examples of teachers, support staff, bus drivers, food service leaders and workers, administrators that I could tell had really strong relationships with kids. You're going to hear me talk a lot about that. What we do as educators is a social endeavor, and it starts with relationships. I saw many examples of that today in the 5 schools that we visited. And then just a few other things. This is a credit to you as a community. Rio Rancho is a model in the state of New Mexico. I think it should be a model in the nation. Currently, your students, our kids, are outperforming the state by approximately 10%, and you have an 86 or 87% graduation rate, which is approaching 90%, which is really incredible. So those are just a few of the things, and college readiness above national averages, which I think we can continue to build on as a school system. So in all the research I've done, these are some of the things that I hear about what community wants, staff wants for the future of Rio Rancho. Great teaching year after year. We have to continue to invest in our people because education, aside from teaching and learning, education is always about developing the next generation of great educators. So we have to invest in our staff because that then bears results for our kids. Opportunities for students to be challenged. We always have to make sure that there are no barriers in our school system in Rio Rancho that would limit kids' opportunities. So we want all kids to be challenged and to have access to higher level courses and college and career readiness. Safe, inclusive schools. The examples of safety I saw today jumped out at me in every school setting, from Shining Stars pre-K that we went to Stapleton Elementary, to the 2 high schools. It was incredible the amount of resources that Rio Rancho is investing in making sure that kids and staff and community are safe every day. And then preparation for life beyond school. I had an incredible time at Rio Tech today, seeing the programs, the 8 pathways that are preparing kids for careers and fields after they graduate from high school. And then finally, clear communication and partnership. I know that the school system in Rio Rancho and the Board of Education is very transparent and works with the community as a partnership. And those are the things that we need to continue to aspire to do. A few things to be very, very proud of as we build the present that we can build on as a community. As I mentioned, outperforming the rest of New Mexico by 10%, an 87% graduation rate. We can get that up into the 90s. 55% proficient in reading and 35% in math. Those are really strong scores and an incredible foundation that I think, through investing in our employees and really improving our instructional program, teaching, learning, and leadership in every one of the 21 schools we have, we can improve on what we see here. And finally, this is my question. It's a math question that stumps everybody. You're about to be the next group of victims. You ready? Next year's 4-year-olds in 25, 26, what year will they graduate? You hint, it's on there if you look up there. 2040. So as we start to think about investing, think about that. I know we get wows whenever I do it. So next year's kindergarten will be 2039, but 4-year-olds will be 2040. So we as a community really need to begin planning for 15 years out, pre-K to 12. How do we know that kids are ready for the world in 2040? And we need to start to have those discussions collaboratively as a Rio Rancho community. A little bit about me. In the 15th largest school system in the nation, I'm the only current active leader who has been an elementary, middle, and high school principal. Not a career path I'd recommend to anybody. Just kidding. It's been great. But I've led schools K to 12, so I can walk in a kindergarten classroom and know what I should see in grade instruction. Same thing when I was at Rio Tech today, or I was in the AP Lit class that I saw that was amazing at Rio Rancho High School. But it's all really about how we invest oftentimes constrained and limited resources to maximize our student outcomes. Right now in Maryland, we have very high standards for accountability for schools. We have something called the Maryland Report Card, and that's really what I've been about throughout my whole career, is improving outcomes in schools, making sure that kids are learning. Just recently, this past year in 2025, of the 16 schools that I currently supervise, 2 high schools, 3 middle schools, and the rest elementary schools, 2/3 of those schools made significant progress on the Maryland Report Card. You can see chronic absenteeism, which has been a real problem since the pandemic. We've been able to reduce that significantly. And emergent multilingual students who can speak 2 languages or come from homes where another language is spoken. In all the secondary schools that I supervise, we made significant progress. So it's really about the resources that we invest in our teachers, in our support staff, in our leaders. That return on investment is how well kids do. That's really our job. But aside from the data, it's all about the kids. I consider myself a very kid-centered leader as a superintendent. That's what I would be about, is getting to know the kids in Rio Rancho, working shoulder to shoulder with principals, with staff, to make sure, because my mom died when I was a kid, and my dad raised the 3 of us after that. And so I know that kids bring their full selves. They just don't bring their math skills, their literacy skills, their social studies or science skills. They bring the rest of their life experiences to school every day. And it was through great educators, through times of trauma and hardship, that I was able to do well. And that's what our job is in Rio Rancho as public educators, to make sure we're there for kids to support them. This is at Walt Whitman High School, by the way. All right. So I've shared this today, and I'll share it again. If we can do 3 things by the time we're done with kids pre-K to 12, if we can make sure they have a plan, they have a credential or a certificate, they've taken a higher level course that really challenged them, they're on one of those 8 pathways that I saw today at Rio Tech, which was incredible, and they have confidence. They know that they can do well after high school. These 3 things are really our job. So every family, all of us in this room deserve to know that our kids are learning at high levels, that they're supported every day by skilled and caring educators, and that they can see a future after high school that they believe in. So I'm gonna give you a model that we would work on collaboratively as a community. And it's going to be based on the following things. Clear learning goals at every grade level. When I asked you about next year's 4-year-olds graduating in 2040, it's because we have to know as a community, pre-K to 12, what we expect from our kids, what they should know and be able to do, and how we can track that. Regular updates and surprises. I would work with the board as the superintendent to make sure that the progress that our schools make is very transparent, that you can see it as community members. You can see how our kids are doing. Not only the high standards that we're holding them to, but if there are gaps in achievement between groups of kids, as is often the case historically between some groups of kids, that we're eliminating those gaps and that we're transparent about that. Early interventions when students need support. I got to talk to administrators extensively today about how we provide good first instruction in classrooms, but when kids struggle, how do we act fast and act early to make sure they have the support that they need? And then finally, challenge and opportunity for acceleration, that we're making sure that we're expecting a ton of kids and that they have opportunities to take IB courses, AP courses, or if they really want to go into a trade or a field, that we already have the infrastructure like Rio Tech to make sure kids have those opportunities. So you see it first tonight. Here it is, the Rio Rancho 7 Keys to Student Success in 2040. This is for our 4-year-olds that are going to be with us next year. This is a draft. This would require us to work together over the next year to agree on these 7 keys. What are the 7 things pre-K to 12 that would allow us to invent the future for this next generation of kids that are going to be in our schools? So we probably know things like ready to learn in kindergarten, which I saw at Shining Stars today. We know we want kids as they come into kindergarten that they're ready to learn. I'm a big believer, key 4, accelerated math growth in grade 5. So we're preparing kids to take algebra in middle school, and that they're able to take algebra 2 and excel on standardized tests in high school. And then CTE, what are we doing to prepare kids? So this is just a model of us looking out, inventing the future together, as we make sure that kids, that we know what they should know and be able to do every step of the way in our schools. Finally, inventing the future with you, with families, with community members. Here are some of the things, and I have some flyers here you can grab. What would I do as the superintendent in collaboration with staff and the board to make sure that I have an in-depth understanding of the Rio Rancho Public Schools? First of all, regular feedback and listening sessions with interpretation, that I would make sure that I was in every one of our 21 schools, meeting with parents, meeting with staff, hearing about what's working and hearing about what you think needs to be fixed, changed, or improved. I was blown away today by the high school leaders, the kids in this school system. Another thing that I would do, and it started last night, I was at Schlotsky's. Did I say that right? I had a great sub. And your daughter? Aspen? Yes. She was amazing. She waited on me, and I struck up a conversation with her, senior class president at Rio Rancho High School. Her friend Lauren was over here with her laptop preparing for her 6 AP courses. And I said, maybe that's too many AP courses, but she's very confident. So anyway, when I met the kids, I was like, okay, this is Rio Rancho. This is incredible. So one thing that I would really do, and as a former high school principal, it's important that I think there's untapped potential with student advisory, student leadership, not just at each high school, but at the system level, to work with kids to get their input on how we improve schools. kids in high school know more about how we should improve what we do for them than anyone else. Community forums in every board member's region get out, I believe, really strongly in leadership through visibility. So me being accessible as the superintendent so that I can hear from you and what your priorities are. I also think it's important, I mentioned this before, we have a responsibility as a school system to show that return on the significant investment you're making in us. So how our kids are doing on those 7 keys or in whatever measure we're using that you can see quarter by quarter, semester by semester, annually, how kids are performing and improving. And then finally, clear reporting to the board and to the community on what's working, what we need to change, and how our kids are doing. So together, we can honor the past. We can certainly build on the incredible present that's happening right now in Rio Rancho. And it would be the honor of a career and a lifetime to work with you to invent the future for this very, very fine school system. Thank you.
So Dr. Dodd, we have a couple of questions here. Obviously, you were not assigned this topic. You got to choose whatever topic you
Yes.
want to speak on tonight. And you touched on this, but maybe you can elaborate. You spoke on, honoring the past, building the present, inventing the future. Why did you choose to present on these topics?
Because I think Rio Rancho, when I looked at it holistically as a school system, it is really a unique place in that it's existed for 31 years and that it's had the same leader for 31 years. So when it reminded me, I became the principal in 2018 of the #1 ranked high school in the state of Maryland, Walt Whitman High School. It's typically a top 100 high school in the nation. Since 1962, there had only been 3 principals. Everybody said it was the Pittsburgh Steelers of high schools because they've only had 3 coaches. And so I was following in the footsteps of 2 principals that had led for a combined 40 years. And I got very used to you have big shoes to fill. That was a common refrain, which really said to me that what people were telling me when they said that was that they had very high standards and they expected me to meet those standards. So I picked the past, the present, and the future because of the unique position that this school system is in of picking the 2nd superintendent in its history. So I really think spending some time on cherishing, honoring an extraordinary past, taking account of where we are right now today, and then starting to look forward is what we need to be talking about tonight.
What is the role of parents, guardians, and community members in the items covered in your presentation?
That the plans that I presented, for example, the 7 keys, you guys might think, oh, these 7 keys that Dr. Dodd's presenting, they're not going to work for us. It's an idea. I'm putting it out there for this community because it says, I'm saying to you that we will work on this together. Whatever plan, strategic plan that we develop, it won't be that that central office staff is presenting this to parents, that this is our plan. We need your input. Part of my first 100 days as superintendent in Rio Rancho would be to gather as much input from you as possible to inform the development of how we invent the future, how we go forward. I'm a big believer in teams and collaboration, and I think the best work that I've done as a system leader, as a school-based leader, has always been through working collaboratively in partnership with parents and community members.
So we've got 3 more minutes, time for one more question. How does this presentation align with the district's portrait of a graduate?
I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I think it aligns perfectly. I think the data that I shared with you about where our kids in Rio Rancho currently are performing, that was shown tonight. I think when I talked about how we continue to build on the present, that's going to be really important. But I think that looking ahead, I can't emphasize enough that sometimes school systems fall into the trap that they think only in terms of elementary, only in terms of middle, only in terms of high school. If you want to get the best outcomes, we really have to think in terms of pre-K to 12 as a trajectory. And so we can really monitor how kids make progress at every level and what we expect of them. So I think it aligns really well with where we think kids should be by the time they graduate from our high schools.
Dr. Dodd, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you,
I greatly
everybody. Thanks
appreciate
for
it.
having me.
As a reminder to everyone, please complete the survey. There's a QR code up there for all 3 of our finalists. The survey closes tomorrow at 2 p.m. On behalf of Steve and myself and all the finalists, as well as the board, we thank you for sticking with us tonight and your participation in this event. So again, complete the survey. That's your homework. And the board will take a look at the survey tomorrow. Thanks so much. Have a good night, everybody. You're fine.
Thanks for all the help on
I'm
this.
stealing a mic now.
Okay, we're done now.